Hello, I'm Mandy Kaplan here with an important message. Throughout the modern era, millions, nay, billions of people have enjoyed countless hours of video games, stars, both Trek and Wars, comic books, and other nerdy endeavors. That's an infinite number of gasps and laughs as 20-sided dice are thrown, Pokemon are caught, and Doctor Who has done whatever the hell they do. Yet one person has missed out on all of this. One woman who doesn't know her droids from her hobbits has been left behind. Until now. That's right. I'm trading in my Taylor Swift and Housewives for superheroes and Wookiees as I finally embrace all things sci-fi and fantasy on my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, with Mandy Kaplan. Each week, a passionate guest will try to baptize me into the world of nerdery as they share one of these iconic entities that I have somehow missed. And you can help. For just $5 a month or $55 a year, you can become a member. For your generous donation, which is less than a new Tesla, you'll not only be supporting my mission, you'll get early access to episodes, bonus content, and more stuff I haven't thought of yet. So please, join me wherever you podcast as I finally learn what all the fuss has been about and see if going through this nerd-education will, in fact, make me a nerd. Or, as they say in Klingon, who am I kidding?
Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
What's up, most excellent friends?
It's Chrissy and Nathan from the Most Excellent 80s Movies podcast.
It's a podcast where a filmmaker and a comedian
And their most excellent guests
adventure their way through the 80s movies we think we love
or might have missed
with our grown-up eyes to see how they hold up.
Join us for delightful discussion,
Rollicking recaps.
ratings, and deep-cut recommendations.
Plus, members get some extra fun chit-chat with the hosts after the show.
Download the Most Excellent 80s Movies podcast today at truestory.fm.
Or find it wherever the finest podcasts are stored.
And do remember to keep the Most Excellent 80s Movies podcast motto in mind.
Be excellent to each other and...
Party on.
Party on, dudes.
Ever wondered what happens when a Zoomer who grew up on the Clone Wars,
A millennial Anakin defender,
and a grumpy old Gen Xer walk into a cantina to talk Star Wars?
then we've got the podcast for you.
Star Wars Generations is a place for fans of all backgrounds to come together, talk about why we love the franchise, and what we can learn from each other.
With so much new Star Wars content coming out, we take a deep dive into all of it. We talk stories and characters, what we learn about the Force and the Empire, republics old and new, and how each story adds to the larger picture.
Besides episode-by-episode coverage of the new shows, we've been going back to watch the movies in release order. We talk about Star Wars novels and video games, along with fan content and cosplay.
And with each episode, we're just starting the conversation, and we hope you jump in. We'll read your feedback, answer your questions. We've even had full episodes dedicated to questions raised by listeners like you.
You can find us under Star Wars Generations on your favorite podcast app or by going to theethicalpanda.com. May the Force be with you.
Now this is podcasting.
3, 2, 1.
Boobs,
Hello.
boobs. Oh.
Hooked on you, baby, you're golden. Time moves, I never noticed, just can't get enough. Got me wonderstruck.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Make Me a Nerd with Mandy Kaplan. I'm Mandy Kaplan, and I am a mainstream mom whose mission it is to explore all things nerd culture, one sci-fi show or weird romantasy novel at a time. Here I am, back where it all started, with the peerless Pete Wright, who runs True Story FM and allows me to do this podcast, and my very first guest and one of my dearest friends in the world, Tommy Metz. We're here to talk Black Mirror. Gentlemen, say hi to the world.
Hi, everybody.
World.
Now, generally when the three of us are together on a podcast, which has happened several times, we are eating or ingesting gross, weird things.
Yeah, I immediately started getting heartburn.
Yeah, a little bit.
Even though we're not eating or drinking anything, my body was like, we know what this is.
Gastro trauma. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. But this time I simply have a seltzer, or that's my party line. This is just a seltzer, guys.
Sure.
Following a long history of women drinking booze in cans.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Because
how
of
it all
our
started.
topic. Because of our topic today, I'm just drinking like batteries and microchips. I want to see what happens.
So our topic today is Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Which is a show I avoided, just patently not interested. Wow, that's sci-fi, anthology, weird shit, not for me.
Yeah.
But so how does one pitch Black Mirror? I did not watch the pilot because, as advised by my two genius, handsome guests, you said it's an anthology series. You don't need to really watch the pilot to get the setup. So I did not. Because I'm very busy and important.
Mm-hmm.
How would you elevator pitch this show?
How would you elevator pitch the pilot, Pete?
Yeah, that's a real challenge. For the show itself is I mean, it's a British anthology series. It is
it's Twilight Zone that is warning us about our future technology.
Yeah. Well,
so all the episodes have some form of technology in them?
Not necessarily. Almost all of them do, but it's not
right
inherently
away. Dissent between you two. I love it.
Well, because I think like Black Mirror itself, Black Mirror is like a dark reflection on society, but a Black Mirror is also a screen.
Yeah,
like
your phone.
If you look at your phone and it's off, that is a Black Mirror, and so it has a lot to do with where we're headed with technology. I think is the biggest through line. It's not always. Sometimes they've had technology less, but I think that's if you had to pick one main through line, it's that.
You already blew my mind because I didn't even realize Black Mirror was the phone.
Right?
I think that's what it was.
That came to me at about season 2 too. I was like, oh my God. He had my number all along. The call is coming from inside the house. The thing about Black Mirror is that while a lot of the episodes focus on techno paranoia and fear that comes with technology, a lot of it is just like we're going to address societal shifts and potential that comes from the unintended consequences of our technological advancements, right? Like we're just going to show you, if we stay on the path we're currently on, each episode is a thought experiment of where we might go. And I think the 3 episodes that we recommended really highlight all of that, like humanity's complicated relationship with where we might go.
Right. Now, I was just talking about this with Jer, my very wonderful husband. And when the machines take over, I'm going to be A-okay because I always say please and thank you to Alexa.
Yep.
That's important.
And
I do too.
He's like, what, do you think that they're keeping score?
100%. They're fucking Jer. Jesus.
Jer, you goddamn moron.
Yeah, Jer should be reading Alexa a sleeping book at night. A sleeping book. You know what I mean?
Book.
Reading her to sleep.
Right. I'm not polite to her because of this. I never thought of that. I'm polite to her because I believe in being polite. And I don't want to get into the habit of going, Tommy, give me that thing.
Right.
Right.
It's and especially because you have kids and that will be radiated down. They will start talking to servers like that and not know that there's anything weird. Yeah, totally agree.
I will always, I hope, say, Tommy, could you please hand me the salt? And that's how I talk to Alexa.
Right.
Who's not in my studio, or I would not say her name. Okay.
Right. She is straight up behind you.
You guys,
you're just setting off everybody who's listening to this show. So that's
that's true. If they're but I'm all set in case of an electronic takeover. So please kiss my ass throughout this podcast if you want a place on my court.
Got it. You're gonna have the keys. Okay, go.
The first episode you chose, gentlemen, season 3, episode 1. Nosedive. This is the only episode of Black Mirror I have ever heard anything about, and I've heard a lot about it. Isn't that weird? Like you chose the one that I'm like, wait a minute, Bryce Dallas Howard. I've heard of this one so much.
Okay. Huh.
Really
Yeah, I don't have a good radar on which ones. I love anthology shows, and I love dark anthology shows. Like I'm an enormous Twin Peaks fan, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Outer Limits, all of those things. So I was always going to be in the bag for this stuff. I only knew that like the pilot was legendary because it was such a weird. I know people that were turned off on the show and never went back because of the pilot. I know San Junipero, which we were also talking about, won all of the awards when it came out. But I didn't know the
Junipero.
I'm pretty sure it's British, so you guys don't know exactly how to pronounce it. But Nosedive, I didn't know was one of those, but I thought it was so grounded.
I've heard about this a lot.
Well, interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so what made you guys choose it as this will be the first one we'll have her watch?
Well, that goes to Tom. I mean, we immediately knew the first one that we both agreed on, and then we each took one. And Tom picked Nosedive.
And
what was the one you immediately agreed on, San Junipero?
No, Callister. USS
Callister.
Oh, okay.
US Callister has so many of Black Mirror's obsessions all shoved into one thing.
Okay.
I really wanted to give you one called Playtest, which I think is the scariest of all of them, but it just didn't get as much. Why I thought Nosedive is because it's a heightened reality of things that we are already doing. It's the idea of segregation and popularity, but through popularity instead of just money. And it reminded me a lot of the Community episode, Meow Meow Beans, the idea of how things can spiral out of control when you are grading each other, not just how you're tipping or rating your Uber driver, you're rating every single person that you meet.
Tommy, you called this heightened, and I have to argue with you.
Okay.
This is the world we live in. It really is. Everyone is presenting themselves on social media in the way they want to be seen, and they are living on likes. And I'm a voiceover artist. I see projects auditioning, and they say, please don't submit an audition unless you have this many followers on this many platforms.
See, I'm not very good at social media, and I don't check things. And so I don't submit stuff. I usually submit things that I'm in because I'm told to promote it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that much about it. Is it really, but you don't rate interactions with people. That's maybe the heightened part. Or do you?
I mean, there's Yelp, right? If I have a great experience, I Yelp about it so other people can look and see how many stars. I don't buy anything on Amazon unless I look at the stars and the ratings. And
the difference is what we need to be talking about is Uber and Lyft, right? Where you rate that service, they also rate you.
They
as
sure
a customer, do, right?
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That's Nosedive is a universe where every engagement is Uberfied or Lyftified.
Right, and we are not of the generation where we're trying to be popular and sit at the popular table, but I'm imagining, and I can ask my son, that people are aware of like, oh, she's so many followers on TikTok. That like she's so popular, So it's even, and I'm only kidding that I'm arguing with you. I find it even scarier that we're here, and maybe we weren't when this episode came out 7 years ago. But
I don't know.
I might make the case that we were more here 6 or 7 years ago, and the platforms themselves have been so stuck in the shadow of our political environment that I think kids are smarter than we think they are. And I wonder just how much likes and follows are a metric for social success today, as it was, 10 years ago. I wonder. I mean, I don't know the answer, but we can continue to fight.
Well,
if you'd like.
I think she's the perfect character for this because she doesn't have high self-esteem. So she desperately needs this. Her brother is like, what do you care? Stop. Right? So society will always have those who are desperate for likes and those who don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Or in Tommy's, in my case, don't understand the platform.
While also commenting on how much more critical and how much harder traditionally women have to work in order to just be accepted as a normal person in society, from makeup and high heels on up and down. I mean, we just put you through everything. And so like her practicing her fake laugh, that even the brother you can see is like, oh, what a kind of hero. He can just sort of be whoever he wants to be. But that's a part of privilege for him. You can tell, I mean, because everyone is in pastels but him. He's living a different life, but it's totally fine. He will be able to get into that living place, he'll be able to get any kind of spot at a restaurant just for the nature of being a guy, a confident man.
White male privilege.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the pastels. Let's go there for a second. This world is stunning. And it's very weirdly 1950s while also being futuristic.
Right. Right. There's a certain ideal that they're parading around here that I think mirrors well the ideology behind rating based on likes. It's a superficiality, right? The colors are superficial. It's taffeta. It's also built into the wedding mechanics. Getting ready for the wedding. But it's also, and I'm sure you noticed this, it's even in the 3 that we watched, it's an outlier. It's an outlier in the whole series, like the whole show.
That's one of the other reasons we picked it. Yeah.
It's very different.
Almost none of them have happy endings. We gave you 2 with, you can consider them happy endings.
Yeah.
Well, actually, all 3 you can consider have happy endings.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What did we do?
Yeah, a lot of them do not. This is a very nihilistic show a lot of the time. Huh. All right, we're going to send some more your way.
This one I think has the least happy ending from a plot perspective, but from a character perspective, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Right. Yes, yeah. I would agree.
Going back to the pastels, I also like, they're using it as armor, but also no one wants to stick out. It's like you're blending into your own screensaver. Everyone has to be able to not clash with anyone. Because then, whereas like right now, sometimes individuality and doing something crazy or trolling or stunts is rewarded, in this world, at least at that, we don't get to see a lot of people that aren't in that immediate world. Cherry Jones is one person, but everybody else, we don't see maybe like lower class people in a different socioeconomic situation. And so, I think that you need to be in the herd because anything is a risk. And so you can't wear a really dark red because what if you picked wrong?
Yeah.
I think
I agree. I hadn't thought about it, but.
Yeah. And I think you're great to pick out Cherry Jones and in the same respect, Sope Dirisu, right, in the jail. Right. He actually is wearing a suit. Like he could.
Yeah.
He
see,
could
that's what
in.
I thought. He's still. Yeah.
But he's unafraid to speak truth, right? To speak up, speak truth to power. And in this case, I don't think he's necessarily. I think that final exchange. There's such joy in that they get out of unleashing and yelling at each other that I think the episode comes into just perfect focus, especially after we have the complete unraveling at the wedding with Alice Eve, who is the perfect like rubber stamp of the template of this character, right? And same thing with Alan Ritchson. Hat tip to Jack Reacher, right? Oh my God, he was a little guy in this thing compared to where he is now. He's ballooned.
I don't know a lot of the words you're saying, but
okay.
I wrote, my deep observation is that in the end they are imprisoned physically, but they are finally free.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's it,
right?
That's it.
Well, that's what brilliant observation. We can shove this podcast into the ether right now, but let's keep going. I love that it shows the girl who's having the wedding, the woman who's having the wedding. My apologies, I've already forgotten all the names. We see her inner sadness, the fact that she's reaching out to Bryce Dallas Howard because she doesn't really you can't really have any real emotions. And the fact that she reaches out about Ms. Rags. My favorite thing is when that happens, one thing is 1,000% going to happen. Is she's going to have this big speech at the wedding and everyone's going to finally realize she's right and they're going to put their phones in the ocean and stand up and clap. But because it's Black Mirror, that doesn't happen.
No.
There is no redeeming. She gets torched. She is thrown into jail, but still, yes, she's so out of that society and will probably never be able to be it. It's got to be freeing. It's a terribly happy ending.
Well, can we talk about the character of Naomi? That's Alice Eve. It felt very real to me, and maybe it's because I'm a woman and because I'm obsessed with trying to pickle this so it doesn't keep aging. And, my Instagram feed is full of magic potions to get rid of your neck wrinkles and all of these things. And I have friends who use filters and who only post flattering, perfect pictures of them in perfect settings. I personally don't post personal stuff on these things, on platforms. I use it to promote my podcast and my cabaret. But I find it interesting when I have friends and I know the real story, and then I'm seeing this phony life that they're putting out there. Do you see that? Do you have that in your lives? And what are their names and what are their IG handles?
It's Tom. It's 100%. He's right here.
If you check my Insta, it's like, am I always on the beach? No, that was the first thing that I remember. Now it's a cliche, but when people started really getting on to face space and stuff, and I was being very resistant to it, just because I was very resistant to getting a cell phone for a while, because it was like, why would I want anyone to be able to get a hold of me at every time now that Tommy has sailed? But I remember feeling that I would be like, hey, have you heard from blank? And they would be like, yeah, we were just, they're doing great. But what they were doing was they were reading each other's Facebook posts and liking them and then saying, I checked in with this person.
Right.
That's not right. You checked in with a algorithmic planned, again, screensaver, the most ideal part, when I know that they are not together with that person anymore, or that there's something really traumatic happening. There's something, we're advertising ourselves. Advertising is made to make you feel terrible, so then you'll buy the sports drink or the shoes. We're doing it to ourselves now on Insta, as all of my friends are always at some sort of sports stadium, or always with their kids, or always glistening with morning dew because of all the running that they're doing. And it's like, well, I feel terrible because I'm on my toilet looking at this stuff. You have to remember, they posted that when they were on
the toilet. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, there's tons of that. Everyone, and then the idea, the reflexiveness, especially in LA, of hashtag blessed, hashtag actor's life, hashtag, everyone is always getting a part. Everyone is always getting a thing. And I get it. That's a part of the game, but it's gross and it's scary. And I worry for people that can't see through the artifice that it is. And I have been caught up in it too.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to in any way, shun or judge people who do that, who live in that space, because it has become just a different cultural identity that I don't understand and I'm objectively bad at, right? I'm bad at it. I used to be better at it, right? I was the first one to sign up for Twitter on my T9 cell phone, and I was the first one to, I was really upset that I couldn't get on to Facebook, and it was just those stupid students. I had just, I only graduated 10 years ago. Give me a Facebook account. I'm still young and vibrant. And so all of these platforms I was very excited about, but it doesn't take long for, I think, just the commercial interest to turn everybody into an influencer. And that influencer culture is what this episode is all about. It's the reckoning of what happens and how absolutely fragile the influencer space is. And and now I middle-aged guy, kids are grown up, I find it straight up terrifying.
Yeah. Sometimes I get these random requests, and I'm sure they're written by a bot, and they say, hey, girly, love what you're doing on Insta. We'll send you our products, and then you can post about them and make a little money, and that would be great. And I immediately hit delete, but I get a little thrill that I'm like, somebody might want to send me something for free.
That's right. Yep.
And even though I think it's a bot and it's not real, just the idea of receiving a product.
It's a dopamine hit. I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing happens. Here we're a modest podcast. We do the Next Reel shows, and when someone comes on the show who's in the industry and has a screener for us, are you fucking kidding me? A Vimeo link with a password behind it that I can watch before everybody. Oh my God. That is just it's the Hunger Games.
Yes. It's a little VIP treatment.
It really is.
So before we move on from this episode, because this one is quite straightforward in my mind, it makes clear sense. We get the point. Bryce Dallas Howard is incredible in this episode. Her acting is wonderful, particularly because most of it is done looking at absolutely nothing. Because
That's
as an
interesting.
actor, I know that you are looking at your phone, which is off, and you're reacting and you're appalled and you're sad. And I'm doing the brilliant demonstration for those who are
Your
listening.
space work is outstanding.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not space work if I'm holding the phone.
I don't know what words mean, Mandy. Keep going.
But I think she's fantastic. So I just wanted to give a little shout out. I have not always been a fan of hers, but of late I am. She has won me over.
I think she's really perfectly cast in this also because she's really leaned into sort of a moony, happily blank as a resting face. And that's why she was so poorly cast in Argyle, the movie that lost $18 zillion, because she was also then supposed to be a complete kicker badass, and she can't make that transformation anymore.
Yes.
Right.
But for this, when she's practicing her fake laugh in the mirror and stuff, I completely believe it.
Have we talked about Argyle when we're not at microphones? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Let's do that some other time.
Okay.
This episode was written by Michael Schur and Rashida Jones. What?
Isn't that funny?
I didn't know that. I didn't notice.
Yes.
That's fun.
So strange. Just wanted to mention.
That's awesome.
I thought it was clever and scary and very, very entertaining. There's not a lag for me in this episode. So who chose that one? That was Tommy?
That was
Tom.
Tommy
so far,
is winning.
Got a point.
Tommy is winning. The game just started. I have to say, I don't want to put more points in his column, but any of the sequences where she's walking through crowds and you see the graphics, the overlay of people's scores, I thought was perfect. It was just perfect. And it's in just that we get to move through space with people's reputation. It reminds me of the Cory Doctorow book, Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom, where everybody's like Woofy, right? You have this score that floats above your head to show you your reputation. I think it plays really well. The visual interpretation of that it just really plays
I don't know what that thing was that you just mentioned. Is that something I should cover in my podcast?
It's on Jack Reacher.
It's a book. Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom. The author is Cory Doctorow. Cory Doctorow has his own
it's a great
fandom, but it is a great book. It's a great book.
All right. I'm making a note.
While you're making that note, the other thing that Nosedive gets into, which is a huge part of Black Mirror, is mob mentality.
Oh.
That in order to
Sure.
If you remember the inciting incident, when everything goes wrong, she's nice to a guy at work who other people have decided they don't like, and there's just no coming back from it.
Yeah.
And so just that idea of piling on and how easy it is, it really gets into internet culture, how easy it is to press a button and be anonymous and not deal at all with the fact that it has real world ramifications. That just clicking a button and hurting someone is extremely easy to do, and you don't know that. So this is like a kid's glove version of this theme that happens in a lot of Black Mirror stuff.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Tommy, I'm going to give you another point. Pete, step it up.
Yeah.
But I had the Jack Reacher bit. That counts for nothing.
Moving along.
Yes.
The next episode was San Junipero, season 3, episode 4. Now, I recorded my Severance episode with John Cassie, who said, "Oh, please tell me you're doing San Junipero." So this is the one you guys decided together?
This was Pete.
This was Pete.
In fact, Tom actually did not want me to pick this one. He
because he knows me.
Like, you didn't like this one. It's too sweet. Because it doesn't. It actually represents the far end of the range of Black Mirror, where it's kindness and joy and relationship and a happy ending, and by way of technology. And I think it's just the relationship between Gugu and Mbatha-Raw and Mackenzie Davis is just very, very special, and the soundtrack is dope.
Soundtrack is dope. And again, just to repeat myself, in Pete's also defense, this is the one that won
everything.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Gugu Mbatha-Raw is my absolute favorite. I have such a soft spot for her, which I've probably mentioned anytime I can. So well done, Pete. Half a point.
Point.
But then you lose 10 million points because I have a thing about death, and I cannot think about or pontificate on what happens in the afterlife. It gives me tremendous anxiety, which my friend Tommy was nodding along like, yep, Kaplan can't handle this one.
I don't
This was
know
a
if
setup. He set me up. That's
No,
what happened.
I didn't. I really appreciate that, but I wasn't thinking about this because this is more like an eternal.
Yeah.
The chance for eternal life. I thought that would be okay. So no, this was not a setup where I was letting Pete hang himself at all.
Oh, no. But that's it's a beautiful episode. It's well produced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about Mackenzie Davis. I don't know who she is. I was not in love with her performance. I was in love with
That's Yorkie, yeah.
Okay.
I was in love with Gugu. Always have been, always will be. Oh God, that woman. But it does give me anxiety, and that's just a me problem. That is not a knock on this episode. This episode was beautiful, but I remember seeing Cocoon when I was little and having panic attacks after because it's like, do you choose eternal life? Do you? So, you would have no way of knowing that, Pete, but that makes it tough for me. I watched
lost 10 million points.
10 million points. Dig your way out of that one.
I thought this would sort of, because we have had many conversations, Mandy, where I do not officially know, because you love horror movies. Like I go back and forth. I've never quite gotten a full handle on what you can handle, what you want to handle, and what you do not want to touch, because like some people, like Jer, for instance, I know your beautiful husband, because I will do a recommendation, but then say, oh, by the way, kids in peril, KIDS in peril, and he'll go, I'm out. Like that is a hard, fast line. Yours is a little wiggly.
In the bedroom, he gets real turned on, but that's
so weird.
Look,
as you're both just rating each other every thrust. Gross. I'm sorry I said that.
Oh God.
I like to keep you guessing, to keep you coming back for more.
You really do. Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what's going to freak me out and what isn't.
Yeah.
There are things I have watched that people said, don't watch it, you can't handle it. And I'm like, I loved it. It was beautiful. It was about eternal life and love. But I also know there are other things, for some reason, Defending Your Life. I tried to watch that and I couldn't watch Defending Your Life, which everyone knows I should like.
Yeah. Right.
So, but that's it. So I wrote, I'm sincerely afraid to talk about this one like on a deeper level, but
sure. We can talk about it shallowly.
Yeah, break it down as an episode. They are in the bar, and what kind of bullshit half drinks do they drink in San Junipero? He pours half a drink into a small glass.
Yeah, micro cocktails. I don't know. Maybe because it's all a simulation.
It's all fake. Yeah.
It's not needed. Like it's just sort of like carrying around a glass just to have something. I liked in the beginning that they slow play some of the clues. That the young guy at the bar talking about microsurgery and how his kneecaps wore out. I like that the soundtrack, which is great, because that's like one of the first things you hear someone say as a young guy talking about things that will not exist and doesn't happen to young people, which I thought was kind of cool. And then there's I was talking to Pete, there's some of the clues with the choices they make with the music, that the in excess, what you hear is all we've got is this moment. That's, that's about, and the 20th century is yesterday. We're way in the future. And all we've got is this moment because everyone's so concerned about midnight. Midnight's coming. Mm-hmm. You don't really know why for a while. And I like that.
Well, obviously that's a repeat viewing observation, right? I'm not supposed to, as a first-time viewer of this episode,
20th century yesterday, 1,000%. No,
I'm not supposed to go, wait, what is in excess saying? That must be a clue.
Never caught any of that stuff. No. Yes. Yeah. No. Yes.
I think I think what the movie or what the show represents, the episode represents, is interesting because this is a thing that's unlike other episodes of Black Mirror, where we have, there are a lot of sort of simulations across the series, and in this one, when you're in the simulation is delightful. When you're out of the simulation, it's also not dystopian. Right? Nobody is using the simulation to escape from something else that's horrible in the existing world.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, we shake the sort of mantle of the Ready Player One vibe, and I think that's really special. And the fact that we do it through the lens of this just beautiful relationship between these two women who all they are yearning for is connection, right? Gugu's efforts for connection are more sort of spontaneous, and Yorkie is just trying to figure out what the hell comes next. And the fact that
And what she
those
is,
two
in a way.
initiatives
Yeah.
come together, I think
Mhm.
is really, really special in this show. So it
Yeah.
touches me.
And where it ends is so beautiful. And
Yes.
I did a little reading about it, and that it was, people were just needing this hopeful,
Yeah.
loving ending, and they got it, and it was satisfying. I think the thing that interests me the most is where maybe this starts. You're sitting with a friend, you're having some wine, and you say, "Oh, remember that guy that I slept with at the bar one night and he never called me?" And like, what the fuck? Yeah, I saw him again the next week and we flirted and then he disappeared. It's like, that's the very relatable human thing is Yorkie seeing Kelly. They hit it off, they connect, and then Kelly dicks her around
Yeah.
a little bit, right? Week
Yeah.
after week. Where is she? Oh, now we're making eyes. Now we hook up. Now she's gone again. To have the imagination to say, well, maybe it's not that he's just not that into you. It's that he's alive 30 years in the future or 60
Right.
years in the future, and this is an alternate universe, and he's choosing to be here once a week for,
Or he's
it's a-
the other simulated hardcore
Yes.
club down the fake block.
the quagmire.
Yeah.
Scary. It is so smart and so stunning to think of who I didn't write down the writers because it wasn't a sitcom star that I'm familiar with. But
I think this one was written by Charlie.
okay,
This was written by Charlie.
Booker.
Yeah. It was directed by Owen Harris. Yeah.
Okay, so I was amazed at the imagination and the next leveling of that. I think that's very, very cool.
Do you guys ever have any relationship with Second Life? Do you know what Second Life is?
I know of it.
I know of it.
You talk about platforms. This is another one where I spent a lot of time.
Did you really? Could you fly?
I did. I spent just so much time jumping from world to world, club to club. I had property. A lot of it is because I worked for a university who wanted to build a campus in Second Life and bring all students together from all over the world inside of Second Life. And so I spent a lot of time building in Second Life. And I think what this episode gives me is what we always wanted with Second Life. We wanted the feeling of that kind of interpersonal relationship, and we never got it. Like, we never got there because it doesn't matter. You put a bunch of anonymous digital avatars together, it just deflates into just a pile of sex and gambling and weird, animation.
Trolling.
Trolling. And
I weirdly, because all of this is so foreign to me, but I created a Second Life for a script I wrote, a comedy. And these two characters, all they wanted was a relationship. So their Second Life, which I called Happy Town, was so boring. It was two people like, did you help the kids with their homework? Yeah, he's got a math test tomorrow. But that's what they wanted. They were lonely characters who desperately just wanted
normalcy. Yeah.
Someone to
and
hear
companionship.
their life.
Yeah. And so, and of course I got a lot of jokes out of creating that. But I had heard about Second Life, and that's what inspired that idea. Like, what if you create a Second Life that is just mundane, but it's all you really want?
Right.
About dating and about relationships and the idea of heightening that and using your imagination, to create a tale. If you don't mind, write down, Mandy, Hang the DJ. I don't know which episode it is, but it explores some of these themes in a very interesting way. Hang the DJ.
All right.
I think that'll be one that you'll want to maybe dive into.
Okay.
Season 4, episode 4.
That's our friend and your guest, JJ Justin Yeager. That's his favorite episode of all time.
All right. I love that you know your friend's favorite episodes of things.
Weird. Oh, they don't know that I know.
There's another tie-in I want to make, because I was so sad for you, Mandy, that you didn't get to this episode of The Last of Us. But when I look at episodes of shows that have crafted such beautiful, loving gay relationships, It's extraordinary. Did you watch it? Did you ever
No,
get to
but
it?
Matthew Fox told me all about it. So
It is again, it's an episode out of what you would expect from The Last of Us. So it's not really anything like the first two episodes, and it showcases a years-long relationship between these two men, and Nick Offerman is stellar, and the other guy, his name escapes me. He was the hotel manager in season 1 of White Lotus.
Yep. Love him.
Murray Bartlett.
Yes, you are correct. I mean, the love story was beautiful, but it just when I think about choices, like, would I do that? Would I opt for this? Then I get really freaked out.
Yeah.
So
Get it?
How are
I
you
would
with the
absolutely
idea-
opt for this. I'm already trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're still making that Second Life thing.
Yeah, still doing Second Life, y'all.
How are you with your death thing? And this is going to go to the next episode. I'm not trying to drive, but I just want to say, how are you? Because one of my obsessions, because of my run-in with religion growing up, and now I am not religious, but I'm always still fascinated and horrified, but in a horror movie roller coaster way. Like, I long to see things about it in order to try to make it feel safe. The idea of eternal suffering or time being warped in order to prolong suffering or anguish, because that is a lot of Black Mirror and is in, spoiler alert, USS Callister. Does that bother you at
Eternal
all?
suffering?
Yeah, the idea of like hell or a digital hell. Or
Oh.
the idea of,
I mean, I'm not going to hell. I'm a nice. I thank my fucking Alexa. I mean, I'm.
I guess so. Stories about that don't worry you in the same way.
That doesn't.
Got
it almost feels cartoonish or
Sure.
not real to me. The idea of eternal damnation.
Yeah,
I think of South Park. And it doesn't scare me.
And part of that might be the Jewish religion. The Jewish religion doesn't have, their hell is not pitchforks and fire.
Right.
It's just distance from God.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's really the Jewish hell. And so it's not as visceral and crazy as Catholic and Christians like to dress things up.
When we're done with the podcast, will you explain Judaism to me?
Judaism?
Sorry, I wrote many papers. I wrote many papers about the afterlife and hell and stuff like that. So I'm well versed. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I don't know what that podcast was about. Back to you.
USS Callister.
Sure. Yes. This is the one we both picked.
Well done, guys. This is pretty perfect television.
Excellent. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
And Jesse Plemons, who does not love Jesse Plemons? He is an incredible actor, but he is also, I don't know if you guys know this, the love child of Matt Damon and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Is that so weird?
Interesting.
It's so weird. That's absolutely right.
He is the talented Mr. Ripley. They hooked up on set and they had
how's the peeping,
Jesse
Tommy?
Plemons. It is
That's
so
awesome.
crazy. Also, you guys, I don't know if you know of my deep love of the film Game Night, but this is a reunion of Billy Magnuson and Jesse Plemons. So I'm well done.
Wow.
Across the board.
All right. You can put those points on your San Junipero stink bomb.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I think this one actually, what we get with this episode is something that, around every corner, we get a different sort of nerd fetish, right? The fact that it starts on a Star Trek allegory, like, is just, it's epic. And this is another episode that puts us in simulation and asks us to imagine what's okay. And Kristen Milotti is in it. And so how could you not absolutely adore it? I don't know.
Gosh. This cast was just perfection.
Yes.
Jimmy Simpson.
Jimmy Simpson.
It's
so good.
It's this cast. Okay. So first question I have, though, is when they flash into the offices of the lead character whose name escaped. I always think I'm going to remember the character name, so I don't write them down.
Totally.
But the guy, Bob.
Yeah.
Robert Daly.
Bob Daly. They go through the office and they have people testing or playing or doing whatever they're doing. And they're
eyelids go white or their eyes go white. How do they do that?
In film?
Yes, like, is that Michael
No.
Jackson Thriller contact lenses or
No, as
like,
you walk in, they have a kind of a heavy duty rubber mallet, and they hit you until your eyes go white, and then lay you down on the. You become a
Yeah,
prop.
it's like
Tom can
practical.
vouch. Yeah.
Yeah, and all machine guns go rat tat tat tat.
With
no,
little
seriously,
flags.
how do they do that,
Bang.
guys? It's
CGI.
so
CG.
gross. It's CG. Oh,
CG, yeah.
not as exciting.
Yeah.
But it's well done
Yeah.
because it's creepy looking.
That little device, the thing that you put on your forehead and you can then go
Yeah.
into another place, that is there is a lot of Black Mirror that all lives in the same universe, and you start
Right.
getting
They
like
use
hearing
the same things.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Like and you'll see like on news tickers. There's news tickers while the characters are talking about something, the news ticker is talking about a development from another episode. Like it's
Cool.
very over. If you want to get nerdy about it, it's constantly obsessed with itself. And that's one of those things is
Okay.
the way of entering a simulation, or a lot of in later episodes, you load a cookie, a version of yourself into that. So there's a living version of you in this little thing that then can be inserted into other worlds.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Which
you
I
said
think is a
cookie, and now I'm
segue.
hungry. I totally
Yeah.
tuned out.
This is another one of the central premises of this episode and many episodes in the show is what is living, right?
Right.
When you take your consciousness and put it in the cookie and then put it in another world, you're just bits. You're not an organic,
Mhm.
complication. And so are you alive? In this show, he takes the DNA and reconstructs people.
So they
in
feel
this
like they're
ship.
completely alive.
Yes,
and are
they
going
think
through
they're
everything.
alive.
I
Right.
know.
And is that that's the moral sort of constraint of this
It's
show?
It's very innie outie too, right?
Yeah,
Because the
for sure.
outies don't know that they're trapped in this game.
Great comparison.
Yes.
You're exactly
Perfect.
right. I
Oh.
didn't think about that.
I'm going to give
Also,
you 10 million points.
thank you. And what do I get for noticing Michaela Cole in the Bryce Dallas Howard episode as the TSA agent? And
Actors
now
Oh,
she's
that's
gotta
back.
work.
right. That
Actors
is
got to work.
right.
Mandy, you get no points for that. She took
I
a job.
like it.
I got all excited, and then I was like, "These two episodes are connected somehow. I'm going to figure it out." And then I quickly realized,
That's
no, it's just an
interesting.
actress that they hired back.
That's very rare because once it started leaning into the shared universe
Mhm.
thing, they wouldn't normally want to do that because
I would
actors do show up as different versions of themselves.
Right.
in
And I
there.
read this is so I was typing all my questions for you guys, and I wrote,
Mhm.
do they ever do two-parters or have a character, everything come back? And then I wrote, this is the first one to get a sequel.
Right in the season that hasn't come out yet, that I
Yeah.
think comes out. It'll probably be out, I'm sure, by the time
When people are hearing this.
this
Yeah.
hears this. Yeah, but we're getting a second one of USS Callister, which is thrilling.
Yeah, I was actually telling Casey about this. The idea of Bob Daly, who clearly had some social issues,
Yeah.
punishing people by trapping them in this world forever and ever is bananas and cool. And just, again, I marvel at the writers, and Pete's going to tell me who they are, that they come up with this stuff
Charlie Brooker, William Bridges, they won Emmys for it.
for this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me,
Enough with the Emmys, guys.
because I lean into what scares me versus getting freaked out and try to avoid it, even though it does
Mhm.
freak me out. This deals, like a lot of Black Mirrors, with my existential fears of, like, once you have someone's DNA, he's able to throw, granted, a version, but the kid with full consciousness out of the airlock over and over again. He takes away the main character's eyes and nose and mouth, so she's blind, and he says, you won't die. I won't let you. You'll just always be reaching for a breath or a voice that will never be there. That
Right.
stuff cuts me to the core.
Yeah.
The idea
And I
of
find it cool.
yes, and that's my version. I guess that's a better way to explain my version of what you're talking about. Although
Yeah.
I do lean into it. Anything that has to do with hell or the afterlife, I watch because I think I'm trying to deal with my unrealized. Like, I still have fear of that. I don't
Right.
like at one
Immersion
point
therapy.
I believed in
Or
heaven
exposure.
only because I believed in hell. Like, I
Right.
needed those kind of things. So yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of that in this too. And then Jimmy Simpson's, I mean, I think they don't make it incredibly clear, but the idea is that he, because of the trick that they're doing, he's going to be burning in that space fire forever. That's his sacrifice. That's terrible. I can't stop thinking about stuff like that.
So Jimmy Simpson, I used to tangentially know him and see him in theater when I was in New York. We ran in the same circles. I'm not going to say he would know who I was, but I knew who he was because he was really talented. And I was seeing him in shitty little black box theaters, way off Broadway. He was so good. And he has always played smarmy, evil bad guys. And he started off that way in this episode. And the switch, when we get to see him as a vulnerable father trying to protect his son, was so powerful. And I think it's really exciting and maybe just so smartly cast because the Audi of him is smug and obnoxious the way Jimmy Simpson tends to play. But, I'm a huge fan of his. Always have been.
He went through that kind of evolution in Westworld.
Yes.
He is the good guy, the sweet guy in Westworld, and then because of things that happen, becomes a very different person over. So much so that he ends up being played by someone else. But
I have heard of Westworld.
Yeah. There you go. That's all we ask.
It's funny. Sidebar, if I can see you at the bench, Tommy.
I'll allow it.
You have said that you're not so much of a nerd. But you have mentioned a lot of very nerdy things so far. If I can have the court reporter read back.
When did I say I wasn't much of a nerd? That doesn't sound... I think
I'm like classic nerd.
Well, because I get what you're saying. Because I would say that I wasn't a nerd because I didn't like dragons. I don't like fantasy. I guess the word nerd has changed so much and it's morphed into like geek culture. And I think I'm much more of a geek culture. I'm missing some of the big ticket items. Like I don't care about superheroes. I read horror comics. So that I was a nerd of a nerd set. That kind of thing. I'm just missing really big.
A subset. Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure our consciences are clean.
Okay, good.
Yes. Pete, nice to have you back.
I'm here.
Do you guys have favorite writers? Like, are you aware? Can you tell now that you've seen as many episodes as you have? Can you say, "Oh, this is definitely a Charlie Brooker episode," or this is?
I cannot. I'm more of a showrunner person.
That's weird.
I don't think so.
That's weird that showrunner has a fingerprint where writer does not.
Well, because things like shows that I love, like Noah Hawley, I know when I'm watching a Noah Hawley thing, I know when I'm watching a Brian Fuller thing, their stamp, even though things are written by different people, their overall stamp makes it sing.
Yeah.
Noah Hawley, you'll remember from Legion, Mandy.
Yep.
Oh, no, I know Noah Hawley.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Argo
so
as well.
That's why I think it's more in TV and episodic things. I know whatchamacallit. Yeah, I'm just going to repeat myself.
I think it's harder to look at.
Why would I take my glasses off?
To look at Charlie Brooker through this lens in particular around Black Mirror, because he has such a fingerprint on every episode. Like he has a writing credit on every episode, and
almost like a showrunner.
Yeah, right. So we're in violent agreement, and you'll stand down. And so I think that for me, I find Black Mirror enormously funny. Like I think it is there are things in here that happen that I think are meant to be horrifying or gross, and I find them amusing. And I think is the Charlie Brooker promise that we're going to take this dark satire and we're going to try to make these horrible things funny. And I was watching an interview before they were talking about Loch Henry, which is another one that I think you would really like. I mean, it's a true crime story. It's about a true crime story that takes place on the shores of Loch Henry in Scotland.
It's another Black Mirror anomaly, I think you would say. Very different.
Sure.
Yeah.
And yet, his mark is, okay, I wrote this thing. We put it in Scotland because this is beautiful. And so we're all having a good time. I mean, horrible things are going to happen to all these people, but that's not my fault. Oh, it's all my fault. Everything in this is my fault.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of the Charlie Brooker promise. It's all
Yeah.
his fault. And I think he's delightful.
Well, I laughed a lot at USS Callister.
Yeah.
I adored when the scary, scary, scary monster came out, and it was like they're like, "Oh, that's Lori from accounting or whatever she was." Is it? Am I anywhere close on who she was?
No, you're exactly right. Yeah, close enough.
You're as close as you need to be.
It's super gallows humor, but done really, really well.
Really well. And Jesse Plemons, just by nature of being as brilliant as he is, his Captain Kirk stiffness and his slightly antiquated way of talking when he's the captain is hilarious.
Yeah.
And even though it gets so dark, but in the beginning, before we know how dark it is, when we just see him come in and save the day, and they cheer for him, and he kisses both women,
Hip, hooray. Yeah.
and it hip hip hooray. There's something so charming about it and innocent about a guy who just imagines, what if I were like Captain Kirk and I got to kiss both women, and it's childlike, and then it ain't.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a childlike, like a It's a Good Life is a big Twilight Zone episode, which is pretty much, what if God was a 5-year-old? Like, what if God was a sociopath because he was just someone that isn't ready to do it, has way too much power.
Right.
And he's vindictive and stupid and is so
Trump
developmentally lacking that he thinks that that's what romance is and that's what heroism is. And while having pizzas delivered.
I also think, though, that this is like what the show asks us to propose is that, or to wonder, is how he got that way. This is a nature nurture story, right? Like, is he horrible because he's horrible, or is he horrible because everyone bullies him in some way, shape, or form, right?
That's my
Everyone
theory.
looks down on him, and where we get him as CTO, he's been taken advantage of deeply by the CEO of the company, and this is his way to sort of cleanse.
But there was a clue given by one of the coworkers that he gets a little stocky with female employees.
Yeah, staring.
That whether that comes that he's also like a little bit of, he's not a really good sweet guy that everyone's just picking on. He's also there's something wrong with him.
Well, I don't think where we pick up on his story, I don't think there's anything left of his, like, before times, right?
Sure.
He's a little stocky because now he's a little stocky at this company.
Right.
And he's taking advantage of everybody, right? He probably became a little stocky when he developed this game and was like, who am I gonna bring in next? Right? Like, he's
sure.
So
That's a good point.
Yeah. Did you catch Kirsten Dunst?
No, I read that she was in it, but I didn't see her.
She just walks through the background.
Yeah.
She's a Plemons. They're a delightful couple.
And then
I love them as a
into
couple.
Civil War.
Yes.
When
Right.
that actor dropped out. He's in Civil War only because an actor dropped out, and she was like, I can call my husband. He's with the kids. That's adorable. I love the idea of just walking onto movie sets.
Isn't that what happened with White Lotus? With Sam Rockwell?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh my
Did
God.
drop out?
BTS, guys. BTS.
Tell me, who dropped out?
I heard it was supposed to be Woody Harrelson.
Wow.
I can
Oh,
see
that's
him
when he
pulling
went
off
on the
that
family
character, too.
vacation. I didn't realize that was that character. He had a family vacation. Cool. Okay, good.
That does it. We did it. Black Mirror. Is there anything else you need to say?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There is. You haven't watched the opening, the pilot. Tom asked very early in this conversation, how would you pitch National Anthem? And I feel like we should try to pitch National Anthem.
Well, this introduces the idea pretty early on that is a continuing theme of doing things for the lulz. We don't say that anymore, LULZ, but it's the idea of trolling, of just anonymous people with too much power, and the technology gives them too much power, and they just put people through stuff because they can. And it turns out it's revealed at the very, very end that it's some sort of performance artist. Anyways, he kidnaps this is English. He kidnaps the people's princess. Think Princess Di, but younger. And he says, the only way I'm going This is non-negotiable. The only way I will let her go is if you film the Prime Minister of England having intercourse with a pig and put it on live national television.
Great.
And gives all of these rules and all of these ways to do it. And the news tries to give it significance of like, oh, clearly this is must be about the Arab deal of this. And it's not. It's just someone that wants to force someone with incredible power. And then the whole thing is about the media's fascination, his trying to get out of it, and then everyone showing up and being like, yeah, we're all going to get together in the pub and watch it. Ha, ha, ha. And then, as with so many things happen, once it starts, if it starts, no spoiler alert, everyone just loses their mind. Like they're just so grossed out. And this isn't funny anymore because it's real.
It's real.
And that was the first episode of Black Mirror. And I have a friend who was told that Black Mirror was great. And they watched the first episode on a first date. And they did not end up together because no one told them, don't start with the first episode.
Right.
It's such an interesting thing. And I only bring it up because it is a provocative start to sort of set the table for what this show is going to be. I don't think any episode following it does anything as sort of daring as this episode does and broadcasts. And it does deal with death too. So,
Well, it's kind of like Nosedive in that the one thing isn't going to happen is that the prime minister, the person playing, is going to have sex with a pig. But it does. And everyone was like, what? You can do this? And they said, Black Mirror, ram-a-lam. They were very
It was a pig.
Tommy had me watch one. Do you remember the blackmail one?
Shut Up and Dance.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And I loved that episode.
Yeah.
I was researching for something and he said that would be helpful. And I was mesmerized.
That was also just for the lulls that they ended up having them all do these things. And then they just gave it up anyways. Yeah. They gave up all the stuff to the police. Like none of it was worth it. None of it was worth anything. And we just had them dance around to their tune. Yeah. If you want to watch what I think is the scariest one, Playtest.
All right.
One word, Playtest. It's starring Kurt Russell's son. And that is the one that I think is the legitimate scariest for many reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I got.
Guys.
Yeah.
We did it. We're going to stick around after the credits for members only. We are going to play some movie games. So if you want to hear more, and who wouldn't, with Pete Wright and Tommy Metz III, you've got to become a member. How does one do that, you ask? I'm glad you asked. You go to makemeanerd.com/join. And if you hit that join button, you'll get bonus content like this and all your episodes ad-free and early. Now, I also have to tell you that Make Me a Nerd is a production of True Story FM, engineering by the peerless Pete Wright. I can't believe I get to look at him while I say that. My theme song is Wonderstruck by Jane and the Boy. You can get me on Instagram at Mandy_Kaplan_Clavens, both with K's. If you're listening on Apple, please leave a 5-star review. Type out a review. Let me know what you think. Make suggestions. Join the fun that way. Or you can also find me on Blue Sky at Mandy Miscast. Guys, where can everybody find you?
Pete, take it.
Well, this is, it's a big time for me and Tom because we are about to release the first episode of our 10th season of All the Feelings, our sometimes funny podcast about humans and their emotions. And this season, we're taking on something that we all feel, we all do eventually. And some of us do it with good humor and some of us do it with abject fear. That is adulting.
Adulting. That's what it was. Yes.
Yes. We're taking on concepts of adulting and how adulting has betrayed us each. And there might be guests and who knows? We don't know what's happening. But it's going to be fun. And so season 10, it's a big, 10's big, right? 10's a thing.
Yep.
It's incredible.
10's. And you can tell how seriously we're taking it by the huge amount of preparation we have. Oh, God. We're so behind.
Allthefeelings.fun. That's where you
Please
need
join
to go.
us. And if
Yep,
you want to
please.
see me, I will probably be on the Ralphs in Ventura Boulevard.
They just opened a new Seasons on Evergreen Parkway,
Mhm.
and so you might see me there at the pizza bar.
Okay. And you're both on the film board, right? And you Sitting in the Dark and other podcasts?
Oh, God. We do so many podcasts. I had already forgotten all of those podcasts. A monthly horror podcast called Sitting in the Dark, where we talk about horror movies. And it's really fun. I love that show so much. And the film board, where we talk about new release movies because of the clicks. We like that sweet, sweet SEO. And those are more shows. Just truestory.fm. Just go there and you'll find all of the shows in a row.
You will. And thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Always so joyful, and the time always flies by. I can't believe it's been over an hour. And I have now lost complete control over which episodes are coming out when. So I'm not
True.
even going to tease anything. I'm just going to say...
No, wait a minute. Stop. Just stop. I produced this show. Let me have a minute. Look.
Oh my God.
You're listening to this show right now. Nobody knows what's coming next. Nobody knows. And
Nobody knows.
Mandy, I have been editing shows. There's a show coming that's episode 50 that I edited. Mandy at the end of it teases 2 episodes that have been out for weeks by now. And I left that in, and I love it so much.
To punish me.
So that's kind of what we're up to.
What Sir, Your Majesty, you told me keep it vague because sometimes we record and then we're like, no, you said from now on, instead of saying next week, tune in to hear this, because we're just not sure. We're releasing things based on when things are entering the ether or streaming or releasing. So I will just say lots of fun, nerdy stuff coming up.
Like what exactly?
Have I pleased you?
Got any examples?
I know the Romantasy Fourth Wing is in the future.
You can call it Romantasy. I'll call it Dragon Smut. I can't wait to hear how you think about this. What you think of this book.
All right. Well, if you're not a member, thank you so very much for listening. And members, stick around.